Chapter 451, There is no story without coincidences. Mystifying her thoughts and keeping them a secret, Ouyang Lulu didn't utter an answer. Knowing her disposition, Gu Xiaoxue could only put down her puzzlement. Because even if she asked again, Ouyang Lulu wouldn't budge if she didn't want to answer. Had dinner? Gu Xiaoxue asked in a good mood. No, I haven't. Ouyang Lulu laughed. I was absorbed in the news. Could it be that Boss Gu wants to treat me to a feast? Just come with me. Gu Xiaoxue laughed. I'll tell someone to make a special dish. 2 days later, a streamlined private jet took off from Jingmen Island Airport and landed in Shanghai Airport. A well-proportioned and flawless Ouyang Lulu appeared, donned in a camouflage outfit, wearing a casquette and a pair of black sunglasses on her pretty and dazzling face. Her whole body seemed to emit a beautiful and wild feeling. Behind her, aside from the 4 cold-looking bodyguards, there was also 5 or 6 of her confidants. This group left the airport under the watchful gaze of countless people. Boss. A woman looking to be roughly in her 30s, with short hair and seeming very energetic, was already waiting outside. She immediately approached after seeing Ouyang Lulu and her group. She nodded in response. While striding toward the outside, Ouyang Lulu asked, "How are the preparations? Are the information about those upscale clubs ready?" "It's nearly done. They're just waiting for you to come negotiate with the other party." The short-haired woman was named Kirai, and she was very a talented and capable person. She was also highly valued by Ouyang Lulu. Certainly, her most important trait was her boldness. She once came to Jingmen Island's Paradise Club cruiser and helped Ouyang Lulu manage the casino for several years. With her particular abilities, she helped Ouyang Lulu earn a lot of money. I see, let us first slow down the progress. Ouyang Lulu nodded. When we've fully investigated the other party, they should also send someone to investigate us. Let them do it. I hope they can fully investigate me, though, or else the business talk won't be smooth sailing later. Okay. Kirai nodded. 6 autos had lined up in the parking lot. Along with the arrival of the group, the drivers opened the car's doors, gazing at Ouyang Lulu in awe. Gimme the key. Ouyang Lulu came before one of the drivers and stretched her hand. The driver was stunned. Despite his puzzled look, he pointed to the control panel on the car's dashboard and said, "It's in the car, boss." Nodding at him in response, Ouyang Lulu then sat in the driver's seat and closed the door. Under everyone's gazes, she slowly lowered the window and said, "Settle your accommodations and lodging first, I won't go back today. If there's something else that needs to be dealt with, we'll meet tomorrow afternoon." Affirmative. Everyone nodded. Blue Star Villa Complex. In the corner of the northwestern side wall, located at a blind spot, Duan Ning agilely climbed over the wall. There was a small camera hung on him. After observing the surroundings, he quickly opened a map and silently looked at it. He was an ace reporter. A notorious reporter signed by a domestic large studio who was also an individual that often disclosed various major news of the entertainment industry in the past few years. As a professional dedicated to his work, he was especially able to make big bucks out of it. Due to his stellar performance, merely his annual bonus was no less than 1 million yuan. Added to his several million yuan annual salary, it was definitely a lucrative deal for him. This was exactly what made him very enthusiastic and motivated. He even signed up for a training class at his own expense in the past few months, where he trained his physique, learned how to track, and studied general knowledge in the observation aspect. In short, the present him was very confident in his ability. According to the information, Tang Xiu lives in the villa number 9. But it won't be easy for me to secretly sneak near that villa. Nevertheless, I can pick other villas and seek one without anyone inside. I can go upstairs and pick a vantage point, allowing me to photograph villa number 9 from afar. Duan Ning let out a confident smile as he immediately squatted and crept swiftly to the side. As a matter of fact, the security system of Blue Star Villa complex could be said as exceptional. Unfortunately, even tigers had to sleep during the broad daylight after having a bite at noon. Hence, Duan Ning was able to slip in the vicinity of Villa Number 9 and was unexpectedly unnoticed by the security guards there. He then hid under the shade of the trees. After observing for a while, he discovered that there was no one inside Villa Number 11. Therefore, he deftly climbed over the wall in the corner of the villa and then climbed up to the rooftop. Then, he took out his camera, adjusted the lens and focus, and began to aim at the toward Villa Number 9 dozen of meters away. Like the proverb says, there is no story without coincidences. However, Duan Ning hadn't discovered that when he had just climbed to the rooftop of Villa Number 11, a black Audi slowly drove toward the direction of Villa Number 9. However, Ouyang Lulu, who driving it, accidentally saw half of Duan Ning's body, as well as the camera in his hand. What's going on here? Ouyang Lulu furrowed her brows. She first thought that the man on the rooftop was the owner of that Villa Number 11. But after giving further thought, she realized that there was something wrong. Tang Xiao just became a hot star. Don't tell me he's already being stalked by paparazzi? Thinking up to there, a smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. She then changed directions and parked behind Villa Number 11. After watching as two security guards walked by and disappeared in a corner not far from where she was, she swiftly pushed the door open, and after observing the inside, she found that there was no one around. Her feet and hands agilely rushed to climb up the wall, imitating Duan Ning and climbing to the top of the building. Her light movements were discovered by Duan Ning. Don't move. A sharp small knife was pointed at Duan Ning's back, as a faint perfumed scent fluttered into Duan Ning's nostrils. His body immediately turned stiff, and a chill spread inside him. Who are you? Who I am is no big deal. Ouyang Lulu sneered, more importantly is, who the hell are you? Duan Ning slowly raised his hands. The moment he turned around and saw Ouyang Lulu, he looked dazed and vacant with a stunned expression. He had seen many beautiful women, but no one could be compared with this breathtakingly beautiful girl in front of him. It was due to Ouyang Lulu's beauty that a greater part of Duan Ning's worry eased down, as he then said with a smile, "Miss, you're really beautiful. The most attractive, beautiful woman I've ever seen. But what are you doing, invading my house in broad daylight? You're home." Smiling in response, Ouyang Lulu knew from seeing the camera that the matter wasn't as simple as that. Hence, she didn't believe Duan Ning at all. After unhurriedly sizing him up with a careful eye, she sneered. "Yeah, right. If this is your home, then the entire villa complex is mine. Cut the bullshit. Who the hell are you? How long have you been working as a paparazzi? Hey, you've wronged me." Duan Ning forced a smile. "This villa is really my home. I have the real estate ownership certificate in the study room on the second floor. How about you go down with me? I'll show it to you." "Ah, that's right. I'm Duan Ning, a businessman, and photography is my hobby." Yeah. I really believe you." Ouyang Lulu jeered at him. "So to say, you're just going to break into someone's private residence illegally, eh? Beauty, you've just broken into someone's private home, so you're going to be arrested." Duan Ning said, "But, looking at your beautiful face, just accompany drinking a few cups and I'll let this matter pass." "Okay, then." The answer was followed by Ouyang Lulu's leg flying up Duan Ning's face. Although she was a girl and paled in comparison with true experts, she could still fight several people by herself. Her fierce kick smashed Duan Ning's face and made him fall directly. "You fucking bitch." Duan Ning loudly cursed inside. He was disoriented as got up dizzily. The awe and appreciation that had appeared in his eyes when he first saw Ouyang Lulu was no longer there, just anger and fury. Never did he expect that such a beautiful flower would suddenly hit him, even went so far as to doing it so ruthlessly. Cracking her fingers, Ouyang Lulu scornfully said, "Don't bullshit with me. Take out your press card. Else, I don't mind calling the villa complex security team. I believe you should know the consequences for a paparazzi sneaking into a villa and taking pictures of the householder's privacy, without their expressed consent, no? The security guards will probably beat you to death or cripple you out of anger and shame because you clearly have treated their job with contempt, causing them to fail in their jobs." Duan Ning felt a chill down to his spine. He was perfectly aware that his profession was fraught with risk and danger. He once had a colleague who had been with him for nearly 2 years. Precisely because he broke into a news target's home, he was then caught, beaten and brutally thrashed. Due to the other party's bodyguards' heavy trashing, he turned into a vegetative. Malice was immediately born inside his heart as he rigidly stared at Ouyang Lulu. His feet fiercely trod on the floor as he threw himself toward Ouyang Lulu. He must bring her under his control. By doing so, not only would the immediate crisis be averted, he could also taste the beauty that came visiting his door. He admitted that among those many beauties he had once played with, no one came close to the one before him. He thought that even if he did Ouyang Lulu, he would be completely fine and could hide for a while after threatening her a little. Pang, pang. Ouyang Lulu stepped backward with a cold expression. She dodged and avoided Duan Ning's attacks. A moment after, she rapidly turned and ruthlessly whipped his back with her leg. Following the moment as Duan Ning got unsteady, she grabbed his shoulder and smashed her pink fist on Duan Ning's face. It was a brawl between man and woman, yet their level was totally different. This was not a difference where the man was stronger and the woman was weaker. Rather, it was the other way around. Even if Duan Ning had gone through several months of training, he was still far from becoming Ouyang Lulu's match. He got violently beaten and miserably wrecked, and could only curl up like a sun-dried shrimp on the floor with hands convulsing and twitching. However, he dared not scream for fear of drawing the security guard's attention. Chapter 452, The Wild Bell. Several minutes later, Ouyang Lulu looked at her victim, Duan Ning, whose face was already beaten black and blue, and lied motionlessly on the floor like a dead dog. A wisp of smile appeared on her face. The final blow she dealt made Duan Ning faint. Suddenly, a cunning glint flashed in her eyes. She glanced around and found a brick in a corner. After breaking it, she picked up a small piece, aimed at the window of Villa number 9 dozens of meters away and then threw it with all of her strength. Inside the study room of Villa number 9. Tang Xiu was quietly holding a textbook and calmly studying it. Recently, he could only hide here every day due to the video of his performance spreading. Hence, he decided to seize the time and study well, striving to master the main textbook completely as early as possible. Kacha. The sound of glass being smashed caused him to daze. After he put the book down and went to the second-floor balcony window, he looked through the window. Immediately, a strange expression was drawn on his face. He saw Ouyang Lulu, donned in a camouflage outfit, valiantly and gracefully standing on the edge of the rooftop of Villa number 11. There, she smilingly looking at him while waving her hand. "Hey, what are you doing up there?" With an expression of being at a loss whether to cry or laugh, Tang Xiu loudly called out to her. Ouyang Lulu didn't answer. She just waved her hand at Tang Xiu. After thinking for a moment, Tang Xiu immediately left his house. After coming to Villa number 11, he found that its front gate was locked. Hence, he furrowed his brows and then climbed over the wall to the rear. His form was like a sturdy spirit ape, as he quickly climbed up to the top of the building. He was puzzled when he saw the scene on the roof. What's going on? Ouyang Lulu smiled. She raised her hand with the stuff she had picked up and said with a smile, "Well, how will you thank me? I found this thing on him after I knocked him out." "Is it a journalist press card?" Tang Xiu frowned and looked at the fainted Duan Ning. He then shifted his eyes to Ouyang Lulu, who looked proud and contented. After which, he raised his brows and asked, "How did you come here? And how did you find this reporter? This ancestor grand aunt?"
Ah,
"That's not right. This heavenly young miss is extremely intelligent, and her observational ability is powerful to the point of heaven-defyingness. Hence, when I just passing by, I found someone on the roof of this building. At first, I couldn't care less about it, but after I saw the camera, I knew that it was a problem after thinking about it. You're a big superstar now, so it's not strange for someone to aim video cameras at the villa you live in and take pictures without your consent." Giving her a thumbs up, Tang Xiu then asked, "Lulu, what I'm most curious about is, how do you know I live here?" "I heard from Gu Xiaoxue." Ouyang Lulu laughed and replied. Tang Xiu suddenly understood, as he then said with a smile, "Let's go. I'll call the security team to deal with this matter." "Reward?" "My reward." Ouyang Lulu quickly said, "Don't promise me a feast, you still owe me a lot of big feasts, anyway." Tang Xiu couldn't help chuckling. "What kind of reward do you want?" "I want to learn martial arts from you." Ouyang Lulu happily replied. Tang Xiu looked vacant, and there was a hesitant look on his face. There was no problem at all with learning martial arts. But if one wanted to learn powerful techniques, the only way was to learn cultivation techniques. While the cultivation techniques he had mastered, each and every one of them was very powerful. Therefore, once he imparted it to Ouyang Lulu, and she accidentally passed it to someone from her Ouyang family. "Is it something difficult for you, Tang Xiu?" Ouyang Lulu asked. Tang Xiu's mind revolved quickly. After several seconds, he finally shook his head and said, "It's not that difficult. Since you want to learn it, I'll teach you." As long as he controlled the grade of the simple cultivation techniques to be practiced, Tang Xiu believed that there would be no problem. For example, the first level of casual or relaxation kung fu, or the second level. Since Ouyang Lulu wanted to cultivate, then so be it. With her present age, without the aid of huge cultivation resources, it would be very difficult for her to have high achievements. "Do you really mean it, Tang Xiu? Will you really teach me?" Ouyang Lulu's eyes lit up. She knew that many people from the Everlasting Feast Hall were martial arts experts. Even her good sister, Gu Xiaoxue, was a very powerful expert. Originally, when they were outside the Tang family's ancestral residence, the power used by Gu Xiaoxue was still vivid in her mind, causing her to be obsessed and full of desire to learn it. "I'll teach you," Tang Xiu said. "Can I reach Gu Xiaoxue's level with the martial art you will teach me?" Ouyang Lulu hurriedly asked. "You know Xiaoxue's power?" Tang Xiu frowned and stared.
yeah,
"I know about it." Ouyang Lulu nodded heavily. "Previously when you were unconscious in Beijing at your Tang family, Sis Shui defeated a lot of guards by herself. She was like a martial arts master, very strong and very powerful. If you have good aptitude and are diligent in the future, you can also achieve her level." Tang Xiu understood in a flash. "That would be great." Ouyang was pleasantly surprised. "I love you, Tang Xiu." Having said that, she opened her arms wide and jumped on Tang Xiu. Tang Xiu hastily pushed her away. With an expression of being at a loss whether to be amused or cry, he said, "I told you that I'll teach you, didn't I? Why are you throwing yourself at me? Let's go. There's a reporter here, who knows if there are others as well. We had better not expose ourselves outside. Unless what?" Ouyang Lulu smiled. "Unless you are prepared to be like me. To have people point their fingers at you wherever you go, frequently have people confess their love to you, often being surrounded by journalists, even what just happened, having paparazzi secretly taking pictures of you." After imagining all that, Ouyang Lulu shuddered. While shivering, she shook her head repeatedly, "Forget it. I don't want to rise to stardom. I'll surely collapse if I become one. But then again, I seem to idolize you more and more. You can stay firm and secure here under these circumstances. However, Tang Xiu couldn't help but rebuke, not really. Not in this place. It's not like I can dig a rat hole and burrow my head into it. Perhaps you don't know, but someone is specifically sending meals over every day for me to eat. I can't even go out. Suddenly, his expression flickered as if he suddenly remembered something. Let's go back. They quickly went to Villa number 9. After Tang Xiu strode into the study room, he grabbed the mobile phone on the desk and dialed Qi Nan's cell number. Qi Nan, conduct an investigation and find out who spread the information of me living in Blue Star Villa complex, said Tang Xiu in a heavy and deep voice. What happened, boss? Qi Nan's inquired. A reporter secretly snuck into Blue Star Villa complex to secretly take pictures of me, Tang Xiu said. If it wasn't for a friend of mine who came and accidentally discovered him, I wouldn't have known that there was a reporter around. So, check it out. I must know why and how my residence in Blue Star Villa complex was spread out. Don't worry, boss. I'll check it out. A wisp of killing intent could be felt from Qi Nan's tone. After finishing the call, Tang Xiu looked at Ouyang Lulu, who was leaning on the door. Forking out a forced smile, he said, those paparazzi are really all-pervasive nowadays. I finally understand those big stars' worries and stress. Faintly smiling, Ouyang Lulu commented, say, I heard you performed on the same stage with the big star, Zhang Xingya a couple days ago, right? How was it like? You didn't get bewitched or charmed by that little fox, did you? Tang Xiu was at loss between laughing or crying. Lulu, didn't you say that Zhang Xingya is your friend? Just ask her if you want to know. I'm just kidding. Ouyang Lulu giggled. Anyhow, I got news that Xingya's concert will be held tomorrow. Shall we go watch it? While pointing to his own face, Tang Xiu helplessly said, do you think I can leave the villa complex through the front gate? Who knows how many journalists are watching the entrance? Relax. Ouyang Lulu playfully laughed. Let's disguise you. Who would be able to recognize you, then? But then again, if you feel really vexed and can't stand it anymore, just hold a press conference and tell the whole world. Don't disturb me. Tang Xiu rolled his eyes. He originally intended to let time dissolve all this matter. But if he were to follow Ouyang Lulu's suggestion, not only would the storm caused by his performance not cool down, it would even grow bigger instead. Of course, he was unaware of the fact that it was already a big deal as of now. The whole country had a population of more than 1 billion, and practically more than half of them had watched the video. All right then, tell me your purpose for coming to Shanghai. Tang Xiu said, I don't believe you came purely only to see me so vexed. Ouyang Lulu giggled, go out with me on a date the day after tomorrow, okay? I'll give you a pleasant unexpected surprise. What surprise? Tang Xiu asked, confused. Don't ask. Ouyang Lulu laughed. Shortly put, I promise that it will give you a pleasant surprise. So pleasant that you won't even be able to sleep for 3 days and nights. I'll be tired out to death if I can't sleep for 3 days and nights. Tang Xiu forced a smile and said, forget it. You still won't tell me in any case. Ouyang Lulu loudly laughed. Deep inside her existed a wild and unruly nature. Inside such a carefree laughter was the existence of a woman who possessed boldness and toughness, giving off an aura of a man. Blended with her tender and beautiful looks, it formed a particular, special charm. Despite being accustomed to seeing beauties, Tang Xiu was also attracted and dazed by Ouyang Lulu at the moment. Tang Xiu, I'll call Shenya and ask her to dine with us tonight. Ouyang Lulu said as she turned around to leave. Shaking his head and smiling, Tang Xiu then followed her out. At noon, Tang Xiu and Ouyang Lulu ate the lunch sent by Qi Nan. Following that, he randomly picked an ordinary cultivation technique and imparted it to Ouyang Lulu. However, he only taught her the first 2 levels of this cultivation technique. If Ouyang Lulu was unable to reach the pinnacle of the 2nd level, then he wouldn't need to care about her anymore pertaining to this aspect. As for Qinan, she didn't stay after bringing the meals, but continued investigating how the reporter knew that Tang Xiu lived there. However, one Tang Xiu never expected was for Qinan to come back at 3 p.m., reporting everything about the results of the investigation. Chapter 453, The Quarrel Between Laugh and Tears. Like the proverb says, all the hustle and bustle in this world is for money. Nevertheless, what Tang Xiu didn't expect was that the security guard of this upscale villa complex was so easily bought. Just for a mere 20,000 yuan, he told the paparazzi his cell phone number and specific address. As always, people have their own will. Deeply sighing inside, Tang Xiu's eyes shifted to Qinan. How did the villa complex office holder deal with the security guard? He's been fired. This is the most they can do, said Qinan. Now that the information about me has already been spread, they only have the option to do that. Tang Xiu nodded. And what about the reporter? He has been arrested under criminal charges of breaking into private residence and persistent, aggressive photography of others' privacy. As of now, the police have contacted the owner of Villa Number 11, asking them to check and see if there's anything missing from their villa, said Qinan. Tang Xiu narrowed his eyes and asked with a smile, is there someone from the police guarding Villa Number 11 presently? Yes, there are also the villa complex security guards. Qinan nodded. I'm giving you a task. Sneak into Villa Number 11 without being noticed by the police and security guards and steal some valuables. Tang Xiu nodded. Since that paparazzi quite notorious, just make him stay in prison for several years. Qinan's eyes turned bright. She immediately nodded and left. Several minutes after, Qinan came back through the wall and handed Tang Xiu a box. Smiling, she said, it's done, boss. I got the safe out. There wasn't much cash, but there were quite a lot of gold and silver jewelry and precious stones.
Ah.
Right, I also found several interesting things. What interesting items? Asked Tang Xiu, confused. While pointing to the black box, Qinan replied, the items are in there. You can have a look at them, boss. Tang Xiu opened the box and directly dropped everything inside on the coffee table. Aside from several stacks of $100 notes, many items were jewelry made of gold and silver. There were even several diamonds with 5 carats, at least. Regardless, these things didn't interest Tang Xiu. What made him really interested was several other items. A sharp dagger, a small exquisite silver pistol, nylon rope, night vision goggles, a set of special unlocking tools, and 2 black nightwalk suits. Could it be that the owner of Villa Number 11 is a thief or something? Looking at a loss whether he had to cry or laugh, Tang Xiu couldn't help but comment. I think it's highly likely. Ouyang Lulu said, otherwise, how can there be unlocking tools there? Judging from the material quality of these tools, it's rather extravagant, it's actually made of gold. This set of unlocking tools, I suppose, can be converted into millions of yuan according to the present gold exchange price. Whatever he is, if the police were to find these things he'll be in trouble. Tang Xiu chuckled. I'll help him deal with this. After paparazzi has been sentenced, I'll find the time to give these things back to him. Do you have further orders, boss? Asked Qinan. No, Tang Xiu waved his hand and answered, you can go back to your work. While gazing at the leaving Qinan, Ouyang Lulu grinned as she touched the diamonds on the coffee table. With swift reaction, Tang Xiu knocked her hand back and said with a smile, don't touch these things. I may not be a good person, but since the owner hasn't offended me, these things must be returned to him. If you like diamonds, buy it yourself. But, I have no money. Ouyang Lulu spoke in a pitifully and downcast way. You have no money? Tang Xiu rolled his eyes. You are the famous and rich young lady Ouyang Lulu, how can you have no money? What joke are you playing, girl? She took out her wallet, showed it to Tang Xiu, saying, you see, there are 6 bank cards in my wallet, yet the balance added altogether doesn't add up to more than 30,000. I'm poor, you know, pitifully poor. I had never been this poor since I started my business when I was 15. Unconvinced, Tang Xiu asked, what happened to your money, exactly? Got it all invested, said Ouyang Lulu with a forced smile. Invested? Upon hearing it, Tang Xiu suddenly looked spirited, and curiously asked, what business did you invest in? Not telling you. Ouyang Lulu shook her head. You'll know in 2 days. Say, Lulu. Do you need to make it so mystifying? Tang Xiu helplessly said. Forget it, then. Since you don't want to say, I don't feel like getting to the bottom of things anymore. Anyways, do you want me to lend you some money? Nope. Not for the time being. Ouyang Lulu shook her head. I'll naturally find you when I need it, though. All right then. In any case, we're friends, so you don't need to be polite with me, said Tang Xiu with a nod. After saying that, he fished out his mobile phone and turned it on. Ring, ring, ring. However, less than 2 minutes after he had just turned it on, the ringtone of his phone sounded. Tang Xiu looked at the number shown on the screen and saw that it was Jin Xingkui calling him. He immediately accepted the call and smilingly said, Old brother Jin, are you looking for me? Brother Tang, you finally turned your cell phone on. Jin Xingkui forced a smile. You see, I've been calling you since yesterday, I called you nearly 100 times. Anyways, how was it? Does it feel good to be a star? You're joking me, old brother Jin, said Tang Xiu helplessly. I have indeed been turning off my phone these days. I only turned it on occasionally if something happens. Right, your purpose for calling me is. The preparation on my side is done. I'll wait for you to see the site and then wait for your blueprint design, said Jin Xingkui. After hesitating for a moment, Tang Xiu then said, okay. Tell me the address, I'll catch up with you now. Then I'll be waiting for you at the intersection of Futian Road and Guangming Road in Jingming District. The site is very close to that place, said Jin Xingkui. All right. After replying, Tang Xiu hung up the phone and looked at Ouyang Lulu, saying, there's something I need to do, so I need to go you out. Where are you going? Asked Ouyang Lulu. I recently talked to a friend about a business cooperation. So I'm going to meet him and survey the site while at it, said Tang Xiu. Business cooperation? What kind of business? Asked Ouyang Lulu in astonishment. Real estate. Tang Xiu smiled. Upon hearing it, Ouyang Lulu was immediately interested and smilingly said, I'll go with you then, Tang Xiu. If the architectural blueprints will be designed by you, my Ouyang family also intends to become a shareholder. No can do. The shareholders of this cooperation have already been set. Tang Xiu smilingly said. Your Ouyang family have no hope of participating in it. But it's fine if you want to come along, though. Just don't thoughtlessly speak. My lips are sealed. I'm not going then. Only watching you talk about business and making a fortune, except for being anxious but unable to do anything. What use do I have there anyway? Ouyang Lulu curled her lips and harumphed. Just go by yourself. I'll stay here and wait for Xinya. Besides, she said she'll come immediately after she's done with her things. Got no problem with that. Then, you just stay here, said Tang Xiu with a nod. Having said that, he stuffed all the things on the coffee table back into the safe box, and they carried it to the second floor. Just as he entered the study room, his finger flicked ANF. The safe box was immediately taken into his interspatial ring. After changing to his everyday clothes, Tang Xiu bade Ouyang Lulu
goodbye
and left driving his car. An hour later, he reached the appointed place. Brother Tang. Accompanied by a man and a woman, Jin Xinkue had already been waiting on the roadside as he quickly approached and smilingly greeted upon seeing Tang Xiu. Tang Xiu looked at the man and the woman and smilingly asked, "Who are they, old brother Jin?" "They are my trusted confidants. They are also responsible for the surveying work of this site." Jin Xinkue smilingly said. "I'll give you the specific measurement data later." "No problem," said Tang Xiu with a nod. Quickly, under Jin Xinkue's guidance, Tang Xiu came to a deserted land. He only took a look at it once, and then began to observe the surrounding environment. Then, he found that the site was located in an excellent geographical location, and the transportation in the surrounding was quite convenient as well. There were also bustling commercial blocks and residential areas around it. If this site was properly utilized, it could definitely rake in money after the development and construction. This place is excellent. All right, I decided to invest in this project. Give me a few days and I'll hand over the architectural designs to you. Afterward, we'll begin to discuss the cooperation contract. Once it is finalized, the project implementations are yours to manage, while I'll be sending some people to supervise the project. Tang Xiu seriously spoke. Supervise the project? Jin Xinkue hesitated. Take it easy, brother. Tang Xiu chuckled and said. The construction of the project is still yours to manage. The supervision I mentioned is only for two aspects. First is pertaining the financial aspect, and second is related to the quality of the construction. They will not affect the construction of the project whatsoever, and they will only report back to me first if they find any problem. No problem, then, said Jin Xinkue with a smile. After saying that, the smile on his face faded. After hesitating for a moment, he said, Brother Tang, there's something, but I don't know whether I should tell you now. You can tell me, said Tang Xiu. As a matter of fact, my company has encountered some problems lately. Jin Xinkue said. If we don't solve these problems, I'm afraid it will be very difficult to launch the construction for the project in the near future, even though we got your architectural blueprint. What problems are you talking about, exactly? Asked Tang Xiu curiously. It's the Jindi Group. Have you heard about them? Jin Xinkue forced a smile. They're also a company that mainly engages in real estate business. Nope, haven't heard of them. Tang Xiu shook his head. Jin Xinkue looked distracted, before he immediately nodded and said, the Jindi Group's boss is called Yi Wenhe, a rich and overbearing figure. Even though he is pretty much comparable to me, yet we have no time for civilities. We had some contradictions prior, when we struggled to get this project, but it wasn't a problem at first, since it was a normal rivalry for people in the same occupation or industry. However, in order to get this plot of land, there were some conflicts between us. Although this site was finally taken over by me, Yi Wenhe harbored resentment toward me inside. Before I was ready to develop this site, I had, in fact, already made early preparations. Even some of the construction materials I bought were sent here. Recently, however, a group of youths in the community often came to instigate trouble. So I sent some people to investigate it, and it was found that Yi Wenhe was the one who incited that group of youths to do so. Chapter 454, A Big Deal. You meant that, once our project is started, it will also suffer the same problem? Tang Xiu's brows wrinkled deeply as he faintly asked. I'm not 100% sure, but it's highly likely, said Jin Xinkue with a wry smile. Nodding, Tang Xiu was very satisfied that Jin Xinkue told him this issue now. After all, both sides hadn't truly signed the cooperation contract yet. If he were to hide this issue, it would be quite a hassle once the project launched. Let us put away this issue for now. But if this problem arises, do let me know, and I'll solve it. With a happy expression, Jin Shinkue rubbed his hands and said, I had no choice but telling you about this matter, Brother Tang. Please don't blame me. But if I didn't tell you in advance, just the construction project itself would be delayed later. I'm glad you told me about this problem now. Anyways, let us not talk about this matter anymore. Give me the measurement data and survey of this site so I can be prepared after I go back, said Tang Xiu with a smile. All right. Jin Shinkue motioned for the woman beside him, as she immediately opened her briefcase and handed Tang Xiu a document. After receiving it, Tang Xiu said, all right. Then I'll go back first. Why don't we lunch together, Brother Tang? Jin Shinkue quickly asked. No, I still have some matters to take care of, replied Tang Xiu while waving his hand. Afterward, Tang Xiu drove back to Blue Star Villa complex. Just after he entered the house, he saw Ouyang Lulu and Zhang Xinya walked from the inside while holding hands. There was a smile on their faces, which evidently showed that their mood was quite pleasant. Hello, Big Star. We were wondering whether you'd come for lunch. Anyways, the meal was personally sent by the Everlasting Feast Hall's manager, Qi Nan, and they are already in the dining room, said Zhang Xinya with a smile. After locking the car's door, Tang Xiu replied with a smile, come on. It's you who is a genuine big star, while my unwarranted reputation was due to a strange combination of circumstances. Besides, I don't think anyone will remember me after a few days. I dare say it won't happen, Zhang Xinya tenderly smiled. Anyhow, my visit this time is because I'd like to invite you to be the special guest in my concert tomorrow evening. No. Please let me out of this, will you? Tang Xiu hastily waved his hand upon hearing it. I'm afraid I'll be in the headlines again the next day if I become the special guest in your concert. These days, I've already been living in deep distress, and I'll really go crazy if things continue this way. I really don't get it, Tang Xiu. Others would do anything just to become famous. But you're actually repugnant to becoming famous. Zhang Xinya tenderly smiled. Care to tell me the reason? It's because I like a quiet and tranquil life. I don't like to be the focus of attention wherever I go. I prefer becoming rich without many disturbances in life, said Tang Xiu. That idea of yours is kind of peculiar, you know. Zhang Xinya couldn't help chuckled. But that's fine as well. You can still make a big fortune even if you don't rely on your fame. All right, Tycoon Big Boss, shall we have lunch now? I'm afraid the food will become cold if we delay much longer. Then let us eat, said Tang Xiu with a faint smile. Accompanied by both good dishes and beauties, Tang Xiu savored as he ate crisply. After having eaten and drank to his heart's content, the two women picked up the leftovers and cleaned up the dishes. Just as Tang Xiu turned on his mobile, he received dozens of SMSs and missed calls notifications. His complexion slightly changed after giving them a cursory look. Among them were several missed calls and an SMS from Yuan Chuling. Without a second thought, Tang Xiu dialed Yuan Chuling's cell number and asked in a heavy voice after the call got through, what happened? How did you get hurt? Some people came over to make trouble when the fitness center was being renovated, and they were in large numbers. Some of the bastards were very strong. We were unable to beat them, replied Yuan Chuling bitterly. Where are you now? Asked Tang Xiu in a deep voice. Shanghai First Public Hospital, said Yuan Chuling. Tell me your ward number, I'll coming, said Tang Xiu. Immediately afterward, Tang Xiu walked to the dining room and said in a deep voice, there's an urgent matter, so I must go out. You can treat this as your house. Having said that, he ignored their questioning voices. He went straight to the courtyard, started the car, and drove away. After spending half an hour on the road, he arrived at Shanghai First Public Hospital. Though it wasn't his first time there, and he also knew the president of the hospital, he didn't call anyone. He went straight to the inpatient department's ward on the 6th floor, where Yuan Chuling was being hospitalized. At this time there were 3 sickbeds on the ward, where 3 youths were lying. Aside from Yuan Chuling, who was half lying, the other 2 were wearing oxygen masks. Tell me about the situation in detail. With a grim expression, Tang Xiu's vision shifted to Yuan Chuling. Yuan Chuling's head was wrapped with a gauze and there were traces of blood seeping out. Traces of bloodstains could also be seen on his face, while his arms were also plastered. He looked really bad and miserable. Eldest brother, we were really done in this time. Yuan Chuling said with a bitter expression. It was because I looked for another construction team for the renovation. Back then I didn't want to hire them because the other party asked a very outrageous price. As a result, a group of people then came to our door the next day. Not only did they obstruct the workers, they also demanded compensation for emotional damage or something. At the end of the day, the disagreement led to a brawl, and now you see that 2 of my classmates have been injured, their wounds worse than mine. After taking a deep breath, Tang Xiu asked, how are their conditions, exactly? Their lives are not in danger, however, they must rest for a few days due to the condition of their injuries. However, our present trouble is about the campus. If by chance the campus takes disciplinary action to punish us due to skipping classes, or worse, expel us, we'll really be done for, said Yuan Chuling. You don't need to worry about your campus. I'll find someone to help you out with that. Now, tell me about this construction team, said Tang Xiu. Eldest brother, I know that your kung fu is good, but don't try looking for them, please, said Yuan Chuling quickly. Those who hit us are from the construction team, while the rest were only some local rascals. 2 or 3 of them were really strong, and obviously, they knew kung fu. Cut the crap and just tell me. Tang Xiu knitted his brows. You don't need to care about anything else. Hesitating for a moment, Yuan Chuling then honestly told Tang Xiu what he knew about the other party. Afterward, Tang Xiu stayed in the ward for a while before leaving. Flames of anger had been ignited inside him. After coming back from the immortal world, his first friend, and the one he had the best relationship with, was Yuan Chuling. In the beginning, when he was being bullied at the Star City First High School, Yuan Chuling was always the one who came forward to stand up for him. When he was compelled to move classes, Yuan Chuling was also the only one who unhesitatingly stood out and left with him. Despite feeling some deep down inside toward the existences of the so-called friends, brothers, and the like. However, for Yuan Chuling, who had pulled him out of the pit of his own heart, he would never sit by and do nothing. After leaving the hospital, Tang Xiu then drove his car toward the address Yuan Chuling told him, New Dream Renova Company. The facade of New Dream Renova Company was quite imposing and stylish. There were 2 beautiful reception ladies dressed in long skirts at the entrance. They bowed, greeting and expressing best wishes toward the few guests who walked inside. Welcome, sir. Upon seeing Tang Xiu's arrival, the 2 women bowed and let out genial smiles. However, Tang Xiu's face remained detached. After entering New Dream Renova Company's entrance and seeing the luxurious decorations as well as the amicable employees inside, he secretly sneered. Hello, sir. May I ask if there's anything I can do for you? Said the youth politely after he approached. I have a big deal to discuss. I need to talk to your boss, said Tang Xiu. The young man looked at him and carefully sized him up. He vaguely felt that Tang Xiu looked somewhat familiar, but he couldn't recall where he had seen him. Immediately nodding, he smilingly said, if so, please follow me to the VIP room. I'll immediately notify our manager. Nodding, Tang Xiu then followed the young man to the VIP room. After several minutes of wait, the VIP room's door was pushed open and a well-dressed middle-aged man looked at Tang Xiu with a smile on his face, taking several steps forward and smilingly greeting him, hello, sir. I'm the New Dream Renova Company's manager. You can call me Manager Li. May I ask how I should address you, sir? Tang Xiu waved his hand and replied, the reason why I waited for you is that the young man's position who brought me here is not high enough. Hence, I had no choice but to directly contact your company's owner. I have a big business deal to discuss, one that perhaps your new Dream Renova company may not necessarily able to carry it out. Therefore, I need to see and have a private discussion with your boss in person. Manager Lee slightly frowned. He then probed, Sir, this big deal, may I know what is it? It's the complete renovation of a luxurious residential area, said Tang Xiu in a deep voice. Manager Lee stared blankly. He then asked once again, this luxurious residential area you are talking about is? I'll only talk about it with your boss, said Tang Xiu coldly. Manager Lee fell into silence. Then, he slowly nodded, Sir, our boss is currently out. If you must meet him, please wait here. I'll immediately call him when he's back. All right. Tang Xiu fished out a cigarette from his pocket, lit it up, and took a deep puff before he nodded and replied. As for Manager Lee, he slowly and carefully observed Tang Xiu. Thus, he didn't miss the cigarette smoked by Tang Xiu, as well as the world-class brand watch worn around his wrist. Although he couldn't figure out Tang Xiu's identity, he was certain that Tang Xiu was definitely a rich man for the apparels and world-class brand watch he was wearing. They were things that ordinary people couldn't possess. After making the call, instead of going straight back to the VIP room, Manager Lee quickly rushed to the first-floor entrance. There, he looked to his plump boss who just got off from the car. With a smile on his face, he said, Boss, the client is very young, but he seems to be a rich man. I know that from the watch on his wrist, it should be worth several million yuan. Chapter 455, I'll help round you off. The new Dream Renova company's owner, Yi Wentao, was a rich and powerful man. He was Jindi Group's boss and Yi Wenhe's younger biological brother, someone whose character was arrogant and exceptionally overbearing. He liked to befriend people from all trades and had earned a lot of ill-gotten wealth over the years. If he's really rich and has come knocking our door, then he must shed 3 layers of skin in his wallet. But of course, boss, said Manager Lee, smirking. The guests who come to our new dream, was there anyone who didn't hire our people? If the lad is sensible and gives us a good project, then we can make quite a fortune. Grinning, Yi Wentao caressed his bare, big forehead and said, Take me to see him. I'm now curious to know what is this big project. All right. Manager Lee brought Yi Wentao to the VIP room on the 2nd floor. After they walked through the door, Yi Wentao's eyes fell on Tang Xiu, who was still smoking quietly. His thick, short fingers touched his round belly, as he smilingly approached and greeted, You're very young, little brother. I'm the new Dream Renova company's boss, Yi Wentao. How should I call you, little brother? Yi Wentao? A cold glint flashed in Tang Xiu's eyes, as he pointed to the sofa in front of him and said, Sit down and let's have a chat. Staring blankly for a moment, Yi Wentao then immediately burst into laughter. After sitting on the opposite sofa, he smilingly said, So, little brother. Shouldn't you answer me now? I still don't want to answer your question, said Tang Xiu lightly. But I can tell you who I am if you can answer some of my questions first. The smile on Yi Wentao's face quickly receded. His eyes, which were already small, squinted. He stared at Tang Xiu and sized him up. Following that, he unhurriedly said, Ask if you have questions. I'll answer you, and naturally won't conceal anything. The first question is, have you ever personally killed before? Also, the number of people you have killed should be more than 1 or 2, said Tang Xiu. Yi Wentao abruptly got up from the sofa. An ominous light burst from his eyes as he shouted sternly, Who are you? A gentleman's word is as worthy as gold, and he never takes it back. You just said that you will answer my questions first, said Tang Xiu indifferently. Yi Wentao was silent for a short while before he answered, You're joking, little brother. I'm always a straight, serious, and formal businessman. How could there be people's lives in my hands? Next, I want to know something. Does your new Dream Renova company is a company that does business, or is it a gang? Clenching his fists, Yi Wentao turned his head and gave Manager Li a look. As the manager left the room, a scorning smile appeared on his face. It seems you are not here to talk about business, but to cause trouble instead. Do say. Are you someone from the underworld? You indeed have no composure nor willpower at all. To think that you would show such an appearance just after I asked you only 2 questions. Tang Xiu shook his head. Since you want to know whether I'm from that path, then I'll tell you. I indeed came here today to cause you trouble, for I'm someone specialized in it, to begin with. Looking deeply at Tang Xiu, Yi Wentao gave him a thumbs up and exclaimed in praise, good, just great. Heroes do really come from the youth. The last time some lowlifes came wanting to make trouble was probably more than a decade ago. Never thought that there would come a day where a reckless lad who has no idea of death or danger would appear here. Regardless of who you are and whatever fucking resentment you have with my new Dream Renova company, don't ever think you will be able to leave here today. You want to take care of me, eh? Tang Xiu mocked. Do you really don't want to know the reason why you'll be dying? Is it even relevant? Yi Wentao raised his brows and faintly smiled. It indeed has no significance at all. I came here today seeking revenge. But if you are nothing but a pushover, bullying you won't give me any pleasure and fun whatsoever. Thus, I'm giving you 2 hours. I hope you can put out enough trump cards that can make me cautious. Bam. The VIP room's door was pushed open, as 7 or 8 strong men and a young man dressed in a suit and tie came in quickly from the outside. Tang Xiu had seen them in the first-floor lobby before. Each and every one of them looked well-dressed and wore a courteous disguise, and now they had torn off that layer of facade and finally showed their true hideous and ferocious faces. Yet, Yi Wentao seemed not to be in a hurry to clean up Tang Xiu. Instead, he looked at Tang Xiu with a faint smile and said, now you should know that I wasn't blustering, right? Let's talk now. Who the hell are you, lad, and what's your background? I hope you can say something fierce to deal with us so that you can scare me well. You want to know? Fine, I'll tell you, said Tang Xiu. I'm one of the shareholders of the New World Fitness Center. New World Fitness Center? Yi Wentao turned his head to Manager Li and asked, do you know this fitness center? A cold glint flashed in Manager Li's eyes, as he answered in a deep voice, I know this fitness center, boss. But they haven't opened their business yet, and even the site has yet to be renovated. Yesterday afternoon, Yang took some people to give the owner of this fitness center and the renovation workers there some beatings. This punk must have come to demand explanations. Nope, you spoke incorrectly. Tang Xiu shook his head. I came seeking revenge. You're here for revenge? Relying on yourself? Manager Li jeered and laughed loudly. Correct. I'm fine by myself, said Tang Xiu with a nod. Manager Li took a step back and gave Yi Wentao the spot to talk. Yi Wentao shook his head, with a dull and uninterested expression on his face, saying, since you're a brain-dead idiot asking for troubles, then I'll fulfill your wish. I hope you can remember this lesson. Do not force yourself if you have no power. Cripple this punk. Immediately, 7 or 8 strong youths rolled up their sleeves and stormed over toward Tang Xiu. They made big fists and prepared to waste Tang Xiu. However, Tang Xiu wasn't in a hurry to get up, and just stretched his foot to trample on the youth's bare feet in the forefront, causing him to momentarily lose his balance and fall down toward Tang Xiu, while at the same time, Tang Xiu grabbed his shoulder. Being forced by a huge strength, the youth screamed, as Tang Xiu easily threw him upside down, using him as a temporary weapon to sweep 3 other youths. Bam, bam, bam. The 3 youths were kicked by Tang Xiu and their bodies fell backward. In a flash, Tang Xiu got up and slammed the youth in his grasp at the trio, as his feet also trampled the trio in the abdomen, causing them to fly upside down and fall down to the floor, nearly kneeling. Kill him. The other 3 youths immediately had their complexion greatly changed upon seeing this scene. One of them, whose face was fiendish, sternly shouted as he sent a wave of punches toward Tang Xiu. What weak pussies! Tang Xiu looked at them with contempt. As fast as a flashes of lightning, his fists punched the four youths who were in the disoriented state, as each one of them were hit on their chests. It only took a flash of effort as the four of them flew upside down. They spat out blood and fell to the floor. 8 men were all knocked down in just 10 seconds. Yi Wentao's complexion suddenly changed, a frightened and panicked expression appearing on his face. After stepping backward a few steps, he pushed Manager Li aside. The manager wildly rushed to the VIP room. He then pulled a dagger from his waist, pointed its tip at Tang Xiu and shouted with a vicious expression, "You do have some skill, punk. You did good to knock them down. However, I want to know, can you beat 10 times their number? Humph, let alone 80, I can still smash 800 of you." Tang Xiu sat back on the sofa again and sneered. "Don't be afraid, though. I said I'd give 2 hours. Call out of your people and put out all of your trump cards within these 2 hours, so as to avoid me losing interest in you. You really are crazy, and so fucking arrogant. However, I hope you can still so nonchalant like this later." Yi Wentao gave him a thumbs up and scornfully sneered. "I have been in Shanghai's shady waters for years, and I have seen many suicidal bastards, yet an extremely arrogant like you is really rare. You really made me interested." Tang Xiu shook his head and lit up another cigarette. While smoking, he said, "After today, Shanghai will no longer have a sort like you anymore. I don't kill good people, but your hands have been stained by a lot of blood, so you must die unless you accept my demand. I know that you're very arrogant, lad. But you won't have things as you wish." Yi Wentao grinned, "However, I want to hear it, nevertheless. What is your demand, exactly?" "Don't worry. I'll tell you after you are at your wits' end," said Tang Xiu. Coldly smiling in response, Yi Wentao put down his dagger as well. He then took out a cigarette and lit up as well. While smoking his cigarette, he waited. 2 minutes later, more than a dozen youths rushed into the VIP room. Their complexion greatly changed after seeing their comrades fallen on the floor. In a flash, some of them took out knives from their waists and pointed them at Tang Xiu. All they needed was Yi Wentao's order and they would storm over all at once. However, Yi Wentao didn't issue the order immediately, but rather looked at Tang Xiu and said, "Lad, this place is rather small, so we might as well resolve this in a larger place." Tang Xiu got up. As he walked, he stepped on a youth's wrist, the sound of broken bones then sounded. Then, under the fierce glares of Yi Wentao and the others, Tang Xiu didn't stop his actions and stepped on the wrists of the 8 youths one at a time. Within just several seconds, the right hand's wrists of the 8 youths were all broken. "Asshole, you're too ruthless." Yi Wentao was furious. "Ruthless?" Tang Xiu sneered. "My friend was severely injured by your people and now is lying in a hospital bed. How come you didn't feel bad at that time? I guarantee that all of you will end up worse than him today. I'll make you regret messing with my friend for the of your life. Tell me, who the fuck are you?" Yi Wentao gasped deeply a few times and fiercely shouted. At this time, a youth who was in front of Yi Wentao suddenly shouted, "I know him, boss. His name is Tang Xiu, this year's freshman from Shanghai University. I watched a video of him singing and playing the zither a couple of days ago."